FaceTime me. I just don't get it.
Yeah.
Call me when I'm up, too.
Here he is, the Hall of Famer, Chris Mullin. How are you, Chris? Is this true? You reached out to Drapes after the Kings fell to the Knicks?
Whitey, you know Drapes, man. He's kind of emotional. He loses his train of thought every once in a while, man. You know what I mean? Especially after a tough L, man. You know what I mean?
What's up, Mully, man? You guys excited to be back in the box tonight after this loss to the Kings?
Drapes, everything's good, man. And TNT got the game, so I'm on the sidelines, just gonna watch as a fan. I'm gonna enjoy this game tonight.
All right. He's much more muted right now. I don't know. Chris, dude, you can loosen the tie, man. I need the Mully I see in the NBC Sports Bay Area studios, man, because he be killing me out there sometimes, man.
Hey, Jay, we just call like it is, man. You guys are trying to climb that ladder, which is admirable, you know. But obviously the Warriors made a nasty trade at the deadline, and things are a little bit different right now. So, you know, as one of our producers, David Taylor, would say, how's the weather down there, homie?
Go ahead, Whitey. Take over, man. Take over.
We'll get back to all that, I'm sure. But I want to ask you about this, Chris, because I had the pleasure of seeing you play many, many, many games from the start of your pro career. And you were an excellent three-point shooter, of course. You made 815 threes in your career. Steph's on the verge of 4,000 tonight. Does that number even seem possible to you?
The number's overwhelming, Whitey. And, you know, obviously we're blessed to have watched Steph's entire career. He has revolutionized the three-point shot, made it pretty much as soon as you pass half court. For him, it's actually it's an acceptable shot, which obviously back in the day was not the case. But
right.
what sets Steph apart, is his efficiency. He's a 40% career three-point shooter. He works hard to get high-quality shots, which, I mean, some people try to emulate Steph. That's the part they forget. He gets high-quality shots, whether it's off the dribble, coming off screens. He's a tremendous screener himself, so he gets his teammates and himself open. So, you know, what sets Steph apart is his efficiency numbers, both from the field, from the three, and the free throw line. And to be able to do that, it's a commitment to conditioning, scouting report, understanding and dissecting what the defense is trying to do to him. You know, Drapes and Whitey, his entire career, he's dealt with double and triple teams, top blocking, but yet he's able to generate high-quality, efficient shots for himself and his teammates. So one of the most rare players in NBA history is going to go down as one of the greatest of all time.
Hall of Famer Chris Mullin joining us. Hey, Mully, you guys got Jimmy Butler now. His numbers, you know, with the Warriors and with Miami, pretty similar, but talk to me about his impact. What is he doing that necessarily doesn't show up in his stats?
Yeah, Drapes, what he's really done offensively is made the Warriors a fundamentally sound, diverse basketball team offensively. And really, basically, he's allowed them to play inside out, which sounds pretty simple, but for a long time, when the Warriors threw the ball into the post, that was exclusively a passing play. They never even faced the basket, whether it be Draymond, Kevon Looney, whoever was in there, even Jonathan Kuminga at times. He would never even face the basket. It was strictly for split action to kick back out for jump shots. Now with Jimmy Butler, when he catches in the mid-post, he faces up with a live dribble. We know how dynamic he is to get to the paint in one or two dribbles. He can draw fouls. He can make mid-range shots. And maybe as important, create high-quality shots for his teammates. So that simple dynamic there, having the Warriors play inside out, it's made them less reliant on making threes all the time, and it's balanced out their offensive attack where now they got points in the paint. They've been dominating points off turnovers, and more importantly, the last few games they're starting to shoot the three ball, but they won a bunch of games since Jimmy Butler got here. Not even shoot a 3-point shot and winning games by points in the paint and the free throw line, which was really non-existent pre-Jimmy Butler.
That's the great Chris Mullin. He's an analyst now for NBC Sports Bay Area, of course. Matchup-wise tonight, Mully, from Steve Kerr's standpoint, what do you think he's most concerned about when it comes to the Kings roster?
Yeah, I mean, look, this is a rivalry game. They've developed a nice rivalry. The Kings got a really good roster. Now, they had some turnover at the deadline. De'Aaron Fox went to San Antonio. They brought in Zach LaVine. So I think that dynamic of Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, Malik Monk, the scoring is there. You know, they got tremendous scoring. I love Keegan Murray. So this is a talented roster the Kings have. It's really just kind of, to me, finding their chemistry after that trade. Obviously, when Doug Christie first took over, they were on a tremendous run. I think they're trying to find that type of quality basketball, these last 15, 17 games of the season.
Chris, do you think Drapes and I have talked about this a lot. Is this maybe a team that would be better served to slow it down more? Everybody now is, up and down the floor shooting threes. The Kings seem to be gradually becoming more of a walk-it-up team. Is that maybe the better approach for this roster?
Well, Waddy, I think it's always a combination. I don't think you want to, much like you always hear, when you're playing a great offensive play, you never want to give them a steady diet of the same look. I think offensively is the same thing. You want to have a diverse attack. You have to shoot the three in this day and age. You want to run as much as possible because that's where the high-quality shots are, out in transition, whether it be off a steal, off a defensive rebound. But then what the Warriors have been able to do is do both, combine both. They're very deliberate now in the half court with Jimmy Butler. But what that has done, it's brought their turnovers down. That was the thing that has always haunted the Warriors. So they're really good with taking care of the basketball. They're winning the points off turnover stats almost every night. And most importantly, you get a good shot on goal, which helps your transition defense. So I think it's combining both. I don't think you want to walk it up and be a slow-paced team. Look, the Kings, to me, they got a lot of good offensive players. It's really about ball movement, making sure, everyone's involved. But I don't think you can get away from trying to play fast. But what it is decision-making. When it's not there, then commit to that half-court execution.
Sort of how Doug Christie said, break it up into 8 seconds, the shot clock. First 8 seconds, look to push, look to attack, see what's there. Second 8 seconds, run your offense, execute. Last 8 seconds, get into your business, maybe the one-on-one where you got to get on a shot up. Hey, Chris, we just got word that Domantas Sabonis is out tonight. Yeah, that's big for us. Domantas Sabonis is out tonight. What do you think of the Kings with and without Domas, and what have you seen when he's played the Warriors? I remember that playoff series. Y'all did a good job. It seems like since then he's been able to do some things against you guys.
Yeah, Drapes, I thought this year is the best I've seen Sabonis play in the last 3 or 4 years. And really because he looked much more confident stepping away from the basket, which is really, to me, it's important for him to play that way, shoot open shots from the perimeter. But I think especially with DeRozan, it gives him more spacing. So I look at DeRozan similar to Jimmy Butler. He's the guy in the half court you can give the ball to in the mid post. He can create for himself, and he can settle things down and keep you organized. So to me, Sabonis being confident, knocking down, 17-footers out to the three-point line is really important. So tonight without him, sometimes it's not the worst thing because the Warriors, no matter what roster Steve Kerr puts out there, they're small. So I don't think the Kings necessarily need a center to compete with the Warriors on a given night. Now, you want him in if a playoff series, of course.
Right.
But on a given night, that matchup is not as important because the Warriors, no matter what roster, as I said, they put out there, they're going to be smaller than their opponent.
Hey, Mully, I know the arrogance of Warriors fans, the organization, the broadcast team, yourself. I know how arrogant you guys can be. But, as fellow East Coasters, me and you, we always like to keep it real. So keep it real with me. What's the ceiling for this Warriors team this year?
First of all, Drapes, I appreciate that compliment. I appreciate your respect and admiration for our arrogance. That's well documented, I might say. But it's Drapes and White. If you look at the numbers now, look, this is the Warriors' third team of the season. They started 12-3. That team was solid. Then they went 14-23, and that team kind of flatlined. This is by far their best version of the Warriors this season with Jimmy Butler. I think they're third offensive rating and third defensive rating. That's big-time numbers, small sample size, but you take it for what it is. So this team, as constructed right now, I think they're definitely a threat to get to the conference finals. And if they do that, that tells me not only they're playing great basketball, they're healthy. And in a 7-game series, I'm not going to bet against Steph Curry. So we have to wait, obviously, to see how this thing unfolds the last 17 games. But the numbers back it up. And to me, the biggest difference is with Jimmy Butler, they've been able to, like Whitey said, and I think Doug Christie's, that's a good assessment of breaking down the shot clock. Mm-hmm. But they've been able to incorporate Butler seamlessly, offensively, most importantly. But it's also had a huge impact on their defense because they don't turn the ball over. That has always been a huge stat for the Warriors with live ball turnovers. They could get out there and shoot, make 23s, but give up 25 or 30 points in turnovers. They're not doing that anymore. And the other thing is they went from 30th in free throw percentage to number 1. And they went from, I'm going to say, 26 in attempts to top 10. So those are staggering changes. They're incredible. And so that had a huge impact on this team. And we all know, look, with Steph in the past with Clay, it was a 3-point dominant offense. They're not relying on the three. Now, they obviously can make them. They've had some good games recently, but they're not exclusively relying on making 3-point shots, which I think is a huge factor for success.
Chris, you obviously have had a unique perspective on basketball, Hall of Fame career. You've coached, you've been involved in putting teams together. So given all that and given all you know about how difficult it is to put a good team together, how would you evaluate the job that Doug Christie has done this year when he's had to deal with upheaval, with the roster and the way they're playing and just the fact that he was replacing a really accomplished coach?
Yeah, well, that's a tough. All those things you just mentioned is tough for anybody. Doug, obviously, having been a long-time player there in Sacramento, have a great feel for the organization fan base. I think he's done a great job, and they got off to a tremendous start, incredible start when he first took over, and then obviously the trade. I think the world of De'Aaron Fox. That's a tough guy to replace. I think that guy's a hell of a player. And as you mentioned, Mike Brown's a very accomplished coach. He took on a lot all at once, got off to a great start. Now I think it's much like the Warriors. They're trying to restabilize themselves and get back to, that first rendition when Doug Christie took over. Mm-hmm. And that takes a lot, like you said, between trades and coaching upheaval and things like that. I think he's done a great job. They've got enough time now to stabilize and get themselves together. Obviously, they're going to need Sabonis to get back healthy. But I like their roster. I really do. I like the offensive power they can put out there. Now it's really just kind of combining the offense and defense together and getting a little bit of a roll here.
Hey, Mully, obviously we're all in the business of trying to chase championships. And one of the conversations we just had before you came on is, who's the guy on Sacramento? And do you need a guy to contend for a championship? From your executive career, from your long line of playing many years and being around basketball, if you don't have the guy, what's the best way to get the guy if you're, let's say, a Sacramento?
Yeah, James, that's a great question. I think it is important to have a pecking order for sure, but that has to be established by the players on the court. That cannot be handed over. Then it's just phony. Then it's not for real. And until that happens, I think what you have is on a night-to-night basis, guys thinking they are the guy. So that always, I think, if you look at the championship teams and teams that have great success, that person is well established, and it's well established by his performance, not for other reasons. Now, look, Sabonis has been an all-star, so he's obviously, I think, probably the prime candidate. But when you're trying to reestablish yourself, right now, look, the Kings are in ninth, right? So it's not like they're a championship team right now. But if they can get on a roll here, this last 15 games, who's the person that has the most impact in that becomes the guy. So to me, I think it is important to have a pecking order, but I think it's also as important if you don't have the guy to not just, give it away because you want somebody, because then you're not being genuine then. So that process has to play out on the court and by performance, in my opinion.
Mully, I wanted to ask you about point guards. You spent a lot of time with one of the greatest point guards, Tim Hardaway, of course, and the position seems to have changed. De'Aaron Fox was an effective point guard here, perhaps not, what people would think of as the traditional point guard. The Warriors won championships without necessarily a traditional point guard. I know Livingston was coming off the bench, but my question is, the point guard position, has that position changed more than any other position since you played?
I think it has, Whitey. I think obviously more scoring comes from that position. I mean, the league in general, over the last 10 years, I know a lot of organizations and a lot of people like to call it positionless.
Yeah.
Until it doesn't work, then you put people in positions when it's not working. So what it really is, Drapes and Whitey, is to me playing to your strengths, staying away from your weaknesses, but then the roster construction becomes so important because you want those talents to complement each other. Like you talk about Fox. I love Fox. I love De'Aaron Fox. I love his speed. I thought he was improved his jump shot. But the fact that his speed, that he had that blow-by speed to collapse defenses. Mm-hmm. So that's a gift that can help his teammates. Then you surround him with shooting, right? And that's why I think Sabonis, he rebounds, he gets great stats. But to me, to help DeRozan, he needs to step away from the basket and draw the big man away, mm-hmm. and not just become simply a dribble handoff guy where you don't have to guard him. Mm-hmm. So the complement of talent is so important nowadays because, like you said, you don't have pure John Stockton type point guards. So you're not just having one guy distribute. So, the combination, we always hear Steve Kerr talking about the combination of guys, not strictly the talent. So what 5 guys function the best is really the most important thing. And I do think that the point guard, that responsibility has changed over the years. But still, you want that guy to be a playmaker, right? And like I bring up Fox because I just thought his speed was so overwhelming that he just created so much havoc with the ability to get into the paint.
Chris Mullin joining us, 4-time All-NBA, 5-time All-Star. Mully, you guys just had the All-Star game down there, All-Star festivities, All-Star weekend. I know you were a big part of it. You've been in 5 All-Star weekends. How do we fix it? What's the key going forward, man? Because is it the players? Is it the league? Like, what's happening with All-Star weekend?
Drapes, I think you have to kind of see what everyone's expectations are. To me, the All-Star game is an exhibition. It's to celebrate the game of basketball. I think over time, it's become almost too criticized or overanalyzed, in my opinion. You don't want it to be guys just out there messing around, but it's never been a playoff type atmosphere. That's kind of, it's somewhere in the middle, right? So I think it's overly analyzed and, in my opinion, overly criticized. I enjoy it. I enjoy it for what it is. It's kind of it's a weekend off, celebrate the game. I sat at the All-Star game and it was a different format. I was sitting on the floor, so I wasn't kind of in the back, but I enjoyed it. It was fine. Like I said, when the weekend was over, I thought it was fine. Mm-hmm. And in the past, like you said, I played in 5. The one that really sticks out that I played in, and this is just because it was my first one. Pat Riley was the coach. It was my first All-Star game. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's last All-Star game. Wow. Pat Riley did a full board of scouting report, strengths and weaknesses, and I was like, "Whoa, this is crazy!" But Pat Riley set that tone. So it's also how it's presented to the guys. So I think it's fine. I'm not one of those guys that, says, they need to play hard and dive on loose balls and take charges. I enjoyed it. If I don't like it, I turn it off. It doesn't bother me. It's not going to ruin my day.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Chris, this is my last one for you. We appreciate your time. The Kings are celebrating 40 years now, 40 years in Sacramento. So before the season started, we had broadcasters and members of the media and fans put together a list of the top 40 Sacramento Kings. The top 2 are 2 guys that you played with. Mitch was 2 and Webb was 1. And I'm just wondering what you remember the most about playing with Mitch Richmond. I know you played with him a lot more than C-Webb, but what do you remember most about playing with those 2 guys?
Yeah. So I remember I think it was 85, 86 came my first year. The Kings came over to Sacramento. So it's been a long, So I got great memories of that place. I think they're in their 3rd building now. But Mitch Richmond, I mean, he's obviously one of my favorite teammates of all time, one of my best friends. But Mitch is so humble. You know, people don't know. A lot of people don't know. You know, for instance, he's got a championship ring with the Lakers. He was MVP of the All-Star game because he never talks about himself. He was an incredible player. He came to us in 1988. His rookie year, averaged 20 points per game, was Rookie of the Year. The next 10 seasons in a row, he raised his average.
Wow.
He started at 20, and for 10 consecutive seasons, that average went up. So you talk about consistency, two-way player. You know, when Mitch was playing, Michael Jordan said he was the toughest guy for Michael to play against because of his defense and his relentless offensive skill set. So one of the greatest players of our generation, and he had a huge impact on my career. And I'm proud to call him one of my favorite teammates. And he's my brother off the court. And then C-Webb, Chris Webber, one of the most talented big men of his generation. I only got to play with him his 1 year. He was a Rookie of the Year also when I played with him. But he came in, I think he was 19, maybe 20, 1 year at Michigan. But I had played against Chris Webber with the Dream Team. He was on that developmental team that played against us. And I remember coming back from the Olympics, talking to Nelly. I think it was in between Portland and going overseas. He asked me about the draft. He had, I think it was Anthony Hardaway, Sean Bradley, Chris Webber. There might have been one other player on the board. And I said, Nelly, Chris Webber by far is the best player. I said, he was in the gym with the Dream Team, and on a few occasions was by far the best player in the gym, including the Dream Team players. So he was an incredible player with those big hands, was a great passer. So both those guys, I mean, dynamic careers, and really helped Sacramento reestablish themselves. And Mitch, look, for the years Mitch was there, it was a tough run for him, but I think he gained so much respect and admiration because he just willed himself and that team to credibility. That's hard to do. You know, it's really hard to do by yourself, but Mitch was able to do that in Sacramento.
Mully, I want to leave it on this one, man, with this question here. You brought up the Olympics, the Dream Team, and everything like that. One, what do you think of the state of international basketball, and how much do you think that 92 team deserves some credit of making basketball as great as it is today?
Well, James, I think European basketball has had such a huge impact on us. I think maybe from San Antonio, really incorporating a lot of that European style, drafting European players. But over that All-Star weekend, obviously a lot of ex-players there. I was talking to Pau Gasol for a while. Great guy, one of my favorite guys, a great, great player. But he was telling me, we were just chatting about, because we have some mutual friends in Barcelona, but he was telling me, I think in 1992, he was 11 or 12 years old. He said that was the first time that he really felt close to the NBA, and it became like a closer dream to him.
Wow.
So it had an impact on Pau Gasol and that generation of players that came over here from Europe. Obviously, in Sacramento with Vlade and Peja, Hito, all those different European players. But, I think when I came in the league, there was a few European players, few non-U.S. born players. Now a third of our league is foreign born players. And a lot of those players, go back to seeing the Dream Team up close and personal over in Europe. So not exclusive, but had a huge impact. And that was why FIBA, the Olympic Committee, and the NBA with David Stern, that was their major goal, was to really globalize the sport of basketball, try and get as many people worldwide competing, watching, becoming fans, much like soccer. That was their goal. And it seems to be, accomplished and growing each and every year.
Chris Mullin, we appreciate your time very, very much. I do have to ask you, though, you and Bonte with the double team on Drapes, and then sometimes it's Festus, the triple team. It's not fair.
And I ain't got nobody that got my back down there, Mully. Y'all be teaming up on me, bro.
You got to take it easy on Drapes.
Whitey. That's respect and admiration. They used to double and triple team Larry Bird, too, in Boston. So you know what I mean, Drake? Hey.
I like that, Mully.
Drake, you got to welcome the double team and create for your teammates.
All right. And Mully, hey, you got to admit, I handle it well, though. That triple team, y'all be coming at me. I get my shots off, too, though.
You do a good job. You know, you're a tough kid from the East Coast. But I got to tell you, every once in a while, I just know you're not picking the phone up, man. I just know it.
Yeah, I don't know if you was with Bonte on Monday, but y'all tried to FaceTime me after that Knicks game. I was not answering that one, man. I was not answering.
Hey, Drape, hey, full disclosure, I told Bonte, call Draper right now.
All right, I'll be picking up that phone tonight. I'm going to call you tonight after this game. How about that?
Enjoy the game, Chris.
All right, Whitey and Drape, my pleasure, man.
All right, man. Be good, man.
We appreciate
that guy.
Right,
woo! There you go.
Chris Mullin. Woo. Great career. Two-time Olympic gold medalist. People forget. Also won it in 84. John Stockton was on that team, I believe. Barkley was on that, or did he get cut?
That,
one of those.
When he was in the Big East, you had Ewing, and you had Villanova and Harold Presley.
Louis Carnesecca with the sweater, and John Thompson. Yeah. That was the golden years of the Big East, no doubt about it.
When we come back, tell you why tonight's battle cry for the Kings should be Protect the Pumpkin. Next on Sactown Sports.
Spring is in the air, and there's really nothing better than hitting the open road in a new Honda.